Hello and welcome to Lunch with the Editor. This week we have a renowned historian, writer, commentator and India's foremost public intellectual, Ramachandra Guha, on our cover. Ram Guha is turning 60 and we have a brilliant array of contributors, from the Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam to former West Bengal Governor and opposition's presidential candidate Gopal Krishna Gandhi, historian David Gilmour, historian Sanjay Joshi, publisher editor Rukun Advani, cricket writer Suresh and culture and political commentator Shahjahan Madambat. These people have all looked at Ram Guha's life, work, and also the recent controversy over his comparison of burqa with Trishul in an article in the Indian Express. So this Pranay is a very rich issue, bringing in all these brilliant writers together on a topic or on a person who himself is of immense importance in our public discourse, and his work.
No doubt. As you present, Ram Guha, he is perhaps one of the writers, one of the commentators most middle class Indians are familiar with, definitely. And I don't know whether they've read all his books, and there's a wide range of his books, but quite a few of them, because there are very good commentators, political scientists, historians, but their work is limited to a niche audience, mainly. Ram's, the biggest contribution in a way, I would say, or what has happened, is that he has managed to expand that, into a much larger audience base, where more people have read him. Then, I'm not going into the merits. There are many, many good commentators, political scientists, historians. But this is what one of the, as you said, one of the foremost public intellectuals of our time, undoubtedly. And the different aspects are brought in by these essays, which I found very interesting.
And we also have a very important story on the situation in the banking sector, wherein the non-performing assets are expected to grow to about 11% of the total advances, reaching a humongously dangerous figure of 9 lakh crores by the end of this year, that is by the end of 2018. This is an alarming situation, and every day we hear bad stories of bad debts, particularly the controversy over ICICI head Chanda Kochar and the loan that she gave to a company wherein her own husband was linked. Today, the Economic Times has reported about what has gone wrong with the Axis Bank. So this is one sector which really needs a big cleanup. So that is another very important story that we have looked at. And also something which most of our readers liked, as I look at the readership pattern online, is the article done by movie maker Sudhir Mishra on Renu Saluja, an iconic film editor, and also Sudhir Mishra's wife, on her passing.
It's interesting, when all of them together there was one popular television serial at that time, Inspector Karamchand, and this new team, all of them came together, working with each other, and then they had a number of good films, maybe not as popular as many of the films today get to be because of the entire thing has changed, but they made some very interesting films, and in editing there were not too many women editors actually. She was one of the first, in that sense, very prominent, doing good work, and very soon it was known even for film buff. They got to know the name. That was another big thing about her. Normally, many good editors you don't really know. Who are these editors? But she was one person, but a lot of people got to know, because of her good work. And that was perhaps also a team. All of them were there. Sridhar Mishra,
Vidhu Chopra.
Yeah. Then the Pankaj Kapoor, Anu Kapoor, all of them, the new guys were coming into the scene and doing a wonderful job. And she was also part of that team.
There's also an interesting book review on Ashish Ray's book, Laid to Rest, the controversy over Subhash Chandra Bose's death. Pranay, I think Saikat has done a really nice review of this book, which is very important despite all that has come out, despite the innumerable books that have come out on Netaji. This appears to be very interesting.
See, initially I remember because when the book came, the first thing was, oh, yet another book. That was the reaction. But I think, having gone through that, and I know, Saikat has been working on it, that he has really covered every single ground and then come out with a very comprehensive view of what the controversy was and how it was put to rest. I think he has done a very good job.
In the wake of the ball tampering controversy in Australia, we try to look at some sort of a comparison of scandals, particularly on-field scandals, between cricket and football. And despite cricket being largely a game played in former British colonies and football being a global sport, it has to be said that cricket has a larger share of scandals, Pranay.
Yeah, because see, much of the thing what happens, I think, it's behind the scenes. It's not that football has not had. It has had its fair share of good teams, big teams have gone. There have been individuals here and there. But cricket, the way it can be tampered in every single, I think, you were mentioning when we were discussing it, how you are also questioning the bet, not only the bet. You're trying to manipulate.
Gambling itself is illegal,
yeah.
But even for the gamblers, even betting is being fixed.
That's a interesting part of this, and which needs to be looked at very, very seriously.
And the other very big issue, which is really on top of all our minds, is the Facebook scandal. How Facebook has, without any qualms, sold the profiles or the profile data of about 50 million people. 50 million is a huge number. So, and which could or could not have really impacted the US election. And the psychographic profiling that is being done by the social media companies and how they are going to use or not going to use, and we have no data protection law at all in India. We talk about Aadhaar, everybody is complaining about Aadhaar, possibility of Aadhaar leakage, Aadhaar data, but what about all the data that all these private companies have, and they're not even Indian companies. And it could be primarily Facebook, because voluntarily every person who signs onto a Facebook account is voluntarily giving away almost everything about him, his family, his dog and his neighbor.
Absolutely. See, that's the worst part, and I think it's a very scary one, because large number of people, and I'm sure that most of our viewers or readers, in today's world, most of them have a Facebook account. And they were not worried when they were into it. They were sharing so many things with friends and family members and others. Now, if all that what they have said, they don't even remember, but there is someone who remembers, kept them,
It's very important because this data is primarily used for a qualitative analysis to describe consumers' psychological attributes, profiles, interests, activities, opinion, lifestyle, and according to which everything is pushed. So, you are not a user, you are actually a product which is being sold to somebody else.
And it's so unethical. I mean, some of the things which you say that without your knowledge, if you...
All your purchases, if you purchase something through a Facebook account,
absolutely.
All your call data records, because you can make calls on an FB messenger, all your other data that you exchange on a messenger or on your FB wall. So whatever you feel is private or classified for your own consumption or the consumption of your friends and family, it is being consumed by people who are making a lot of money out of that.
That's a big question. What is private?
Yes.
Is there anything anymore, which is private? So that's really scary.
Absolutely. So it is much, much more scary than, what we constantly and probably rightly we question our governments. But what about all the private companies which have total and absolute access? I mean, this is good that at least the US Congress has called Zuckerberg for a hearing. But what about other companies which have servers elsewhere? We don't even know.
Absolutely. How much of data they have already collected and what they're going to do with that. Because there is no clarity on this. The so-called secrecy which people assume that, if I'm talking, this remains only with that individual or that group where I'm doing it. It's not for a larger consumption of larger people. But now you're not sure because this is what is being done.
So we have a few comments. I would like to Jayendran Kagu saying hi. Balaji Iyer, you'd have no reason to be here. Please go away. This is no place to spew your venom. Why do you have to come onto our Facebook page to say all these things? Nobody has invited you here. Please go away. Sanjay Kumar Das, Anup Kumaran. Then again, these people, you don't have to come here to abuse us. If you don't like us, if you don't like our coverage, if you don't like our contributors, you don't need to come here. Please go away. Then Jayendran Kagu saying that it is better to withdraw money from the banks before they go bust. I hope they don't go bust. But these are very, very big issues. Extremely dangerous, extremely alarming. Himanshu Mishra, Utpal Upadhyay pointing out the duplicity, yes. Somen Chatterjee, Brish Sharma pointing out that these studies are being done by various PR companies. Absolutely, we don't even know who all are using these psychographic profiles for what purpose.
True. Absolutely, and how they will be used. Because as we are saying that, when you presume that these will remain wherever, it's secret, it's not going to be used, and without your consent. Now, how the times, Rajesh, do we remember what we have said and shared with friends? You don't. No. It's that kind of thing where you're much more relaxed. Now you have to be extremely careful of what you're saying, where you're saying, and to whom you're saying it.
So that's all for today. Thanks for joining.